Hello everyone, this is Phil from Panoramic RV. Today we're gonna do a complete walkthrough of a brand new Panoramic Model G. We'll go back to the basics of what is the DNA of a Panoramic RV, but I will also show you every little detail of what we have inside this beautiful RV. So please join me, we'll go inside together and I'll show you everything. So the first thing we want to explain is the DNA of the Panoramic. Well, the first element of that DNA is that European floor plan, where we have a permanent bed at the back and a huge cargo space under the bed, and that permanent dining table at the front where we can seat for adults. The second element is the super 360-degree view, like panoramic view basically, with all the windows around. This will bring more light inside. It will make the space feels bigger, but it will also provide us a better contact with nature, and that's what this is all about, you know, to spend more time in the nature. The last element, but also very important in the Panoramic DNA, is the manufacturing quality and the ergonomic design. So every element of the vehicle, every aspect of the design was well thought of, so we have a better, a more ergonomic space to live in, and it just makes every moment you spend in a Panoramic more wonderful. So we now want to point out the differences between the Panoramic Classic and the Panoramic Model G. Let's say to start that everything is the same in terms of floor plan. I mean, this is the very same thing of a Panoramic Classic. The differences are kind of hard to see. The first one is that originally we used the Truma Combi that was running on either propane or electric if you were in a campground. That's our heater and water heater system. Now we have access to a new Truma Combi G that will run either on electric if you're in a campground, or fuel, sipping fuel from the tank of the ProMaster itself. Originally we had a propane stovetop because we had a propane heater and water heater, but now because we don't need that anymore, we've gone with a dual induction cooktop instead. Because we also don't have a propane tank on the vehicle, we now have the space to see the return of a full-size spare tire under the truck. So for those people who want to do extended off-the-grid trip, maybe it's a little easier to find fuel rather than finding propane on the road. So that might just make your life easier. The other thing we have combined with this Panoramic G is that we are also kind of forcing a 600 amp hour lithium battery pack, so you have maximum power. We don't want you, because of the induction cooktop, to run out of power, and this will provide plenty of power for any kind of trip you might want to do. So this could be a new alternative for you. So now we'll go into very fine details of everything that is inside the Panoramic. Let's start with the table, the dining table. Very interesting design. So you see I have a little extension here that I can swing around all the way around. This will be nice if I have 4 persons sitting here, and this person on this seat will be able to have a space, but also if I want to use this as an additional countertop to do food preparation. It's also interesting because that table is mounted on a track system, so if I want to give my guests more space, or if I'm using this seat as a mobile office, I could always move the table towards me, or if I want to have more space the other way and maybe extend my legs when I'm watching TV, I could do that. So very easily we can slide that table. I just talked about a mobile office, very interesting. You see that there is a 110 volt outlet here, so if you want to charge your laptop, you could use that. You have USB and USB-C ports here, so if you want to charge your phone or other electronics. We also have induction charger here, so you could simply put your phone without any wires and that would recharge. So that normally gives me a very interesting office with a view. Sometimes I carry a small printer that I will store in these upper cabinet. But let's go back to the table and note that this table can also be very quickly disconnected, and you can see that there is an additional set of tracks under the table. So this would convert into a bed. We can drop the table to this height and use the bench cushion to create a small bed. Some people will ask, is it comfortable? The goal here is usually this van is built for two, but sometimes we like to take the kids or the grandkids. So yes, the bed is comfortable. It can even be comfortable for an adult. I've spent myself over a week on that bed, and I've done that multiple times for a different reason. But you know, it's definitely a surprisingly comfortable bed. But the goal is really for the kids. So you can also see that on the Panoramic, we're using awning style windows. They are super nice in a van because we can have these windows open, and even if it rains outside, there won't be any rain coming in. With the combination of the max fan, this will give us a nice airflow inside. You can also see this is our blinds. They are like this on every window, super easy to drop down or bring back up. You will also notice we have a little light here that we can dim up and down. We also have these reading lights. Super fun, super interesting. We can move them anywhere we want them. We can adjust them so they will give you a precise light if you're reading or doing anything or playing games here on the table. So we have the same lights back in the bedroom. Now I'm gonna go on the other side. Well, a few things I want to show you, but one thing I want to first show you is the bench seat. You see that we have seat belts. Again, sometimes if you want to bring the kids or the grandkids, it can be nice because sometimes on other van you have the seating area far at the back. It's hard to talk with the people who are in front. Well, here we are very close from the driver and the passenger, so it gives us we would have a normal conversation like we have in a car. Sometimes people are asking about the comfort of the bench seat. I can tell you that it's, again, most people are impressed when they try it for the first time. You can see there is a lumbar support, so although it might look like very straight, it's pretty interesting. And you can see that here I'm actually on the half size of the bench seat, so I still have enough space so we could be 4 person around the table. Now we can also see the upper cabinets here. In each of them we have shelf. They can be removed if you want to use the whole space. You can see that we're using some very fine, nice design push locks here. For us it's important, make sure even if everything is moving, when we're on the road, everything will stay inside at all time. And you can see that all of the cabinetry, they always have these soft close, so you let them go, they will slowly close. We also have, I don't know if we can see this, there is a huge and very deep compartment above the cab. So again, you know, we decided to close everything. We like when it's pure and clean. So some random things might get in there, but at least you can close everything. And you notice there was an integrated light, so as soon as you open the door, the light will allow you to see that deeper compartment. It's very important in the design of a small van. We try to do everything possible to maximize, you know, the space that we have because it's a small space. So we've took the time to create a little access door to access under the floor. So right now we have the jack for emergency stored there, but you could put anything else if you want. So again, easily accessible compartment. Another nice compartment here is what we usually call the shoe compartment. So there's 2 shelves. Obviously, when we're in a van, we're traveling, we're doing a lot of sports and activities. Some people might have biking shoes, hiking shoes, you know, city shoes, or you know, you probably have a tons of pair. Well, that's a great place to store them. And of course, we're right beside the door, so instead of accumulating all of them near the door, you can have a storage compartment very close. Again, more space. If you have more shoes than what we than what I have, then you would have another storage compartment well hidden under the bench seat, so super easy to open, but also kind of a more hidden place if you want to put your laptop maybe during the day if you're going out of the van and want to leave them in a place that is not so obvious for everyone, so you could use that space. Now, if you want to come inside with me, I'll show you a few more things. The first thing here is the TV. We have a smart 24-inch TV, so there's already Netflix and Amazon Prime on these things. I just activated a little mechanism behind the TV so we can see the whole thing, but I could also pivot the TV completely. So for example, if I want to watch TV from the bedroom, I could always put my pillows in the back door and I would have a nice view of the TV from that position in the bed. And this will retract and lock in place. Now let's keep moving to the back. So now we're moving to the bathroom. And again, you know, the design of the bathroom in the Panoramic goes back with very important design or ergonomic function. So for example, you notice that we've used those rolling doors. And the first reason for that is that most RV, when you have a fixed door, sometimes you have to get out of the way to open the door, where here, very easy, even if I'm close to the doors, I can open them. But also it will give me more space as I'm going from the kitchen to the bedroom. You know, you can see that I'm not stuck between a wall. I have that additional space beside me. Now, we will see as we use it that, you know, we can use these doors when we're using the toilet, but you're going to see later that when I'm preparing for the shower, I don't necessarily need to close them. Again, small details of the design, you will notice that the shower has a trapeze shape where it's wider here where I'm going to be standing for the shower to accommodate my hips and my shoulders, but at the same time a little bit smaller where the toilet is, because I will need more space to make my life easier when I'm going into the bed. You also see small details like the counter shape. We'll come back to this later, but here we have our wardrobe, so we needed an extra space, but we also needed to keep the alley space wide enough so we could travel here. So because we have that little notch, again, we're able to have that constant space between like here in the alley. Now the door is also super interesting for when we are two in the van, and sometimes, you know, one person would be cooking, the other person is trying to access the cabinet in the room. Well, if I'm in the way, sometimes, you know, there would be no space for me to get out of the way to let the other person go at the back, where here I can just step behind, the other person can go through, and I can be back to doing my things. So having these doors open, and also of course the amazing window in the bathroom gives more light, gives more space, and when we leave that open in the day, it feels again like the space is bigger. Let me show you the bathroom, how this works. Again, you know, this is something interesting on the Panoramic. The shower and the bathroom is something that we get a lot of question on, so I will try to help you with that. There's a little light switch here, so we can open the light for the bathroom. Now, the first question, you notice there is no sink in the bathroom. And there is a reason for that, because we want to allow more space for when we are taking our shower, and most of the time the sink is quite a bit in the way. So now we have a lot of space for taking our shower, and the proximity of the other sink is also so close by that having a second sink for a lot of long-term Class B owner did not make sense. So we decided to remove it on purpose, and we get a lot of people happy for that. If it's your first RV, maybe you're expecting like a classic sink in the bathroom, but once you try the Panoramic without it, you will probably understand why long-term Class B owner have requested to remove that. So now, maybe before I set up the curtain and show you how to go for the shower, you see that here, normally I'm gonna put that back down. You see that we have the shower head, little holder, and this is something great on the Panoramic. I believe the Panoramic remains the only Class B RV to have a thermostatic shower valve. So what this is that shower valve has a on and off knob on one side and a temperature knob on the other side. First time you get your RV, you will set the temperature, and once it will be set, you will never have to touch this temperature valve again. You will simply go on and off, and the temperature will always be set to the same thing. It's nice because you're gonna save water. You don't have to play with that cold and hot water handle like every time you take a shower, so you'll be saving water, but it will also be more comfortable as you are in the shower trying to, you know, save water and shutting it down and reopening. Well, at least when you will reopen, it's going to be on perfect temperature, and you won't be again, you know, trying to adjust the temperature. So now let me show you. Well, you see we also have a little cabinet here, and we'll set the shower head here on the holder. You also notice we have a little rod here, shower rod, that we can drop down if we want to hang some towels. Little hooks here on the side. Now, how to use the shower? So very simple. The curtain, you will notice there are Velcro and similar Velcro on the cabinetry lined up with the edge of the cabinet. So I will simply slide and feel the edge of the cabinet. On the opposite end of the cabinet, same thing, another Velcro here. So I will simply stick that. You will note that in the curtain, we also have a specific hole to access the on and off water. Now, I'm protecting the toilet, and I will be able to, you see on the edge of the shower curtain, there are a few Velcro. So I will be able to wrap the whole bathroom and to close the two curtains together, and also, like I said, to protect the toilet. So what is nice is that when everything is closed down, I don't really have to close these doors. You know, I can leave the doors open and just use the curtain, and the curtain will give me more elbow space as I'm washing my head. Now, the other nice thing, and this is really probably the best feature of all, is that most people who are not using a curtain, or most RV who don't have that kind of curtain all around, you will have to dry the walls of the bathroom if you don't want excessive humidity to stay inside, moisture or mildew to form. This way, when I'm done with the shower, I can simply remove the curtain completely. I can leave it in the middle of the shower to dry. And what's nice is that I still have like a perfect bathroom, perfectly clean, no water, nothing to wipe away. This will dry here over the tub of the shower, and if after many months of use the soap residue will accumulate or stains in the shower curtain, I could always remove it, put it in the washing machine at delicate cycle, and then I will have a fresh curtain to use again. So very smart, simple, but also effective over a long period of time. I can tell you, if you meet Panoramic owners on the road and they've been using their van and they've been using their shower every day like I personally do, you will notice that if you visit their Panoramic or their shower, and now that I said that, there will, I guess, a lot of people asking to see this on the road, but you will notice that their shower is often extremely clean because, you know, it's protected by the curtain. So down the road, 5 years, 10 years down the road, if you meet some of those long-time owners, you will be surprised on how well this bathroom will turn after 5 years. So we also have a porcelain toilet with a foot-activated valve. You can see here that I have some space. You know, I have great space on my sides. I have great space in front of me. I'm not stuck in a wall. So it's pretty comfortable. Of course, when I'm in the toilet, I will be closing the door for obvious reason. So that is really the goal of these door. But also when I said that we have a special design with the trapeze shape, you can see that when I'm standing for the shower, I also have, you know, more space. So some people, again, it depends a little bit on the way you're traveling. Some people will go to campgrounds and they will use their facilities for shower, but this the design of the Panoramic was meant for people who would be taking a shower every day and using that shower extensively. So for us, it was important to have a spacious shower and also a very comfortable toilet. Now, maybe one thing I did not mention, there are lots of small hidden things on the Panoramic. There's a tall mirror behind the door, so if you're wearing a dress or if you want to see yourself completely, you could roll the door and see that. Now, very important feature that a lot of people like on the Panoramic is the tall vertical pantry. So very easy to open and see everything just at once. We have a dual locking system on the pantry. We have the regular push lock here, but as this will get fully loaded, it's going to become heavy. So we have a second lock in the bedroom, a kind of a pull lock that will lock everything in place if you're traveling and if you want to fully secure the pantry. We'll get back to the fridge because these are two like connected elements of the kitchen. But before we do that, I'm going to show you a little bit of the bedroom. Now, sometimes because we have that permanent bed at the back, you can see that the height is a little bit higher than if we would have like a couch bed. But the goal of this is to have a huge cargo space under the bed. Sometimes people will say, well, it's going to be a little bit hard to access the bed, but we have a little step here to make this easier even for shorter people. Now, we also again try to use every cubic inches, so you can see that this step is also a little storage space. So that will mostly give me a good access in the bedroom. Now, the bed, like I said earlier, is a permanent bed. So we have a 6 feet 2 inches tall interior from the floor to the ceiling. We also have 6 feet 2 inches tall bed. And in terms of width, we almost have a queen size bed. So we're 57-inch wide in the bed. We have different mattresses. This one here is our regular mattress. We've always had a lot of people, I mean, everybody was always commenting on how comfortable the Panoramic mattress is. But there is also a Supreme mattress with latex inside. Very, very high comfort option that you could get if this is important for you. Now, I'm gonna slide back a little bit and I'm gonna allow you to come here. Right here beside the entrance, there's a little curtain. It's a separation curtain. So as we have now two living space, that dining table, but also the room. If one of you gets up earlier and you want to have, you want to close the space in the bedroom, you could use that, or you could simply remove that curtain from the side here. We have the same cabinets for storing clothes, shelves that always in every cabinet that you could remove or that you could leave there. So again, soft close. On each window frame on each side, you will notice that we have a little pockets here where you can put your phone when it's charging. I'm gonna show the blind too. In the bedroom, we have full blackout shade. so they will really cut 99% of the light. In combination also with the mosquito screen at the back, when we drop it, it creates a very, very dark room, to a point that if you have the reading lights open here at the back, but everything is closed, it's going to be very hard for people on the street to notice. Obviously, we don't really like to sleep in the middle of the city, but if you would do, or in places where you want to be less noticed, that could help you achieve that. You also see that we have windows on this side, windows on that side. We also have a 12-volt port in this corner, and we also have a 12-volt port on this corner. Now, in this space, we have a few things like the Truma control. The Truma control, 12-volt port, USB and USB-C port. We also have the light switch that we will be able to use. So if the switch, if you open the light from the front of the vehicle, but then you're in the bed and you want to go to bed, you could close the lights from here. Now the Truma is important also that we have that in the bed, because think about it, in the morning the temperature dropped through the night and you just want to crank the system for a few degrees. Well, you can do that from the bed without having to go out of the bed. If you want to turn the water heater on because you're getting ready for taking your shower, you could also press the button here without again getting out of the bed. We also have the max fan. We'll get back to that, but the max fan remote is right there. So during the night, if you want to accelerate or reduce the speed of the fan, you could always use that remote. Same reading light that we have above the dining table, of course. We also have small space, what we call the library spaces. We have one on each side. So if you want to store a few books, or sometimes people will use these spaces for putting their glasses or phones while they are charging. Now the 12-volt ports are there because some of our customer will have a CPAP, so you could use there's also a 110 volt outlet in the corner there, but normally when you have a CPAP in a van, you should always have a 12-volt adapter. This will reduce your power draw, and it will prevent you from using your inverter for just powering the CPAP. So you could use that 12-volt adapter, and that's why we have in the two corners like that, depending on in which position you are sleeping. So the Truma control will control the Truma heater and water heater. So what we described earlier as the Truma Combi G. So water heater will be controlled by this guy here, but also the Truma Aventa, which is our air conditioner, will be controlled by the same place. Now, the Truma Aventa is a very powerful air conditioner, but what is more important is it's one of the most, well, not one of the most, it's the most quiet air conditioner that we can have on a camper van, and still will be extremely powerful for the most hot temperatures. So there is also a night mode on the Truma Aventa. So all of this you could run from the Truma control. There's also a remote that comes with the Panoramic and with the Truma Aventa, and you could use that. Now, on the Panoramic Model G, we said earlier that we combine the Truma Combi G that runs on fuel with the induction dual element cooktop, but we also combine it with a large lithium battery pack of 600 amp hour. And that battery pack, now the big question is, what can we do with this? And one of the things that we can do is we can run the AC directly off the battery pack. So, and of course, off the inverter too. So in the Panoramic, if you turn the inverter and if your batteries are charged, you will be able to run the AC for quite a bit of time. Now, how much time? This question is a tricky question to answer because it depends on a lot of factors. For example, what temperature are you starting from? Have you been cooling from the cab while you were driving before you switched to the AC at the back? what is the humidity level outside, what is the temperature level outside, is the van sitting in the shade or under the sun. So all these things makes the amount of time that the AC can run very difficult to predict. But what we usually tell our people is that you can spend a night. So normally 600 amp hour will give you between 6 to 8 hours, but in a lot of tests, depending on the conditions, you could expect to run for longer than that. These are usually the worst condition possible. So you will be able to do a full night, but this system is also mostly used for people who sometimes they want to go for a bike ride or a hike, and they have a little dog or a cat that will stay inside. So this way you can adjust the air conditioner and make sure the temperature always stays the same, and you don't have to worry about your small animals. So same thing, if you go shopping for just an hour, well, at least you have that peace of mind, you know that the AC can still be running while you're gone. So in terms of the heater has 5 ventilation ducts across the Panoramic. So we have, you know, vents under the bed, in the bathroom, under the dinette, in the entrance. So we have a very constant, very, you know, I would say the temperature will be the same throughout the vehicle, and you won't have a hot spot in one zone or another. So very effective, but also a very, very quiet system, that Truma Combi. Now, the water heater part, sometimes people are asking, is it a constant heater? No, the Truma Combi is a very fast, very, very responsive water heater. It will take 15 minutes to warm up enough water so you can take 2 quick shower or 1 long shower. Again, if you want to take an extended shower, you could go for it and then just wait another 10 to 15 minutes before a second batch of water would be ready. Now, most of us, even if in the Panoramic we have huge tanks, we're always trying to save water. We're always trying, you know, to extend what we can do with 1 tank of water. So normally we still prefer to go on a military shower, turn it off, turn it on, and with 15 minutes, within 15 minutes of you starting the Truma Combi, you will be ready for the shower, and you will be ready for 2 shower. So very interesting system. Again, this is definitely the one of the best, most reliable piece of equipment that we have. Definitely the best water heater and heater on the planet. And of course, this is why we have that on board the Panoramic, because we always want to have the best component for everything. Now let's get out of the bedroom and I'll show you more of the kitchen. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a few elements. First thing is maybe the access to the cargo at the back. We'll see that from outside, but I just wanted to show you that you can easily access the cargo space from the front. This door can be fully removed. Also, if you need to have full space, you could simply just pop it up and then it would come out of the hinges. You can see here, there's a little wine rack on the side. You could also store a bottle of water, and these shelves are removable. So if you're not a wine drinker, you could always remove these shelves and use that full compartment. We have another drawer here under the fridge for additional storage space. Now, I'm going to show you the fridge, and maybe before we jump into the fridge and the kitchen, I can talk a little bit about the Max fan. I just want to explain on the Max fan that you have a remote in the room, but you also have direct control here if you want to accelerate the speed of the fan and switch the direction also. The nice thing about the Max fan is that you have 10 different speed adjustment, and also the most important part is that the air intake of the Max fan is under the fan. So even if in a big storm or when it rains, you can still have the fan on and the windows open, and you can feel like the breeze and a great airflow inside. So very interesting. You don't need to close the cap, you just let it go. Now in the kitchen, Very important for every panoramic owner is that big fridge that we have, 5.3 cubic feet. So a lot of space, but also great in terms of ergonomic because it's a vertical design. We're not crawling under the counter to access food. We also have a little freezer here, well, actually quite big, so good freezer and lots of space to store our food. And sometimes the fridge is very important. It's a compressor fridge, so it always runs on the batteries directly, but it's a very low amp draw, so very little electricity draw from the fridge. You also have a night mode that can reduce the speed of the fridge to make it more quiet at night. But the nice thing about the fridge is that, you know, because it's vertical, but also because we have that tall vertical pantry, we can always open the pantry and open the fridge at the same time and see everything that we use. So when we're cooking, sometimes it's a question of timing, you know, everything is moving fast in the kitchen, so this will allow me to see everything very quickly. Now the fridge is also important for what we call the global autonomy, because if you think about it, even if on the Panoramic we have large tank, I will describe that later, but we have some huge water tank, black and gray water. But if we have a lot of resource, but we don't have space in the fridge, we would always run out of food as we're getting off the grid. Now we're gonna have a big truck pass by, so we'll let it go and we'll come back in just a second. Okay, so we're back. So what's next in the kitchen? Well, we have microwave here. It's not a convection microwave because the space is fairly small, but we do have microwave here. We do have a cabinet here, again with shelf in there. And then we have our main drawers here, and I mean right away when we open the drawer you can see the quality. This is something very different from any RV in the industry. You will notice we use Bloom slider, the most expensive slider, just because they are the finest quality. They roll extremely well. They do have also these soft close. Now I'm a little bit at an angle here, so maybe it won't get back fully to the end, but normally if I would be fully stable on a flat ground, they would go back in, and you even heard that locking system here. We also have a deep stainless steel sink. Again, it's important to have a great space. Some are extremely small and not deep. We like to have something where we're appropriate to do dishes, but also if you have a big pot that you want to put down and be able to fill with water, well, that's what we have. You can see that we have also that tall single lever faucet. So very good again, and the grade of that stainless steel and the polishing is pretty impressive. So lots of space to store item in the kitchen. I think I was about to forget the wardrobe. So wardrobe space is here. You can see there's automatic lights that come on when you open the door. The hanging rod is back there. You see that we have an adjustable shelf, so if you want to use this as a full wardrobe, you can always drop that shelf down and use the complete height of the wardrobe. Otherwise, that shelf was built. Sometimes people carry a small Breville toaster oven to do some cooking and to use as an oven, and this would fit under that shelf. So you could use part of the wardrobe to fit that Breville oven if you want to. Now we have also, of course, those curtains in the kitchen. It's nice also to have a view even when the door is closed. We still have a nice window again in the Panoramic to see outside. You also notice here is a picture frame, but it's a small design feature where we have a little mirror behind the frame, so you will probably need that during some of your trips. So it's well hidden under behind the picture. We also have a little light switch here to have a great our cooking space well illuminated. What else? I think we've seen most of the thing in the kick. Of course, well, I was about to forget one of the important part on the Model G. So this is the new dual induction cooktop that we have on the Model G. For us, it's important. Too many vans, unfortunately, come with just one element. For us, it's important to have two. You know, we're cooking sides, we're doing a lot of things, and people with such a great kitchen in the Panoramic, you're just tempted to do some fine cuisine here. So it's good to have a dual induction cooktop. Now you will need, of course, to turn the inverter on. I'll show you the control panel, but when you turn the inverter on, you will have your 110 volt here if you have a mixer or some other things that you're using, and you will also enable the stove to work. Now, you will notice that in some design, all of the drawers are on one side, but in the Panoramic, what we've decided to do is to come up with part of the drawers on the side here, and there's a big reason for that. The first thing we have here is a push-in, push-out extendable table if you're sitting on the passenger seat, or if you just need, again, extra space, counter space, you could use that. Then we have our cutlery drawer. We also have our usually we put our cups and our glasses there. And we also have that little trash can drawer. And the goal for these things is these are things that we use like 20 times in one day. So, for example, when I'm setting my table outside, it's nice that I have easy access to these things without coming all the way back in the van. So right from the exterior, I can open these drawers and I have direct access to them. Same thing for the trash can that I will use more than 20 times per day. So again, ergonomic design, interesting feature. This is always a concern for us. So that's why we did put all of these drawers on that side. Now, I think I forgot to show you the skylight. I don't know if you're able to see this. This is something nice. It brings more light inside, but it also helps with having a good airflow inside. You can open the cover. You can also use the screen to prevent the insects from coming in. And when you close it, well, you do have middle position if the wind is very strong. When you close it, you simply push back up, and for the night you can also close the blind to prevent the light from coming in. Now, control panel. So control panel here, very simple in a Panoramic, and most of what we want is really information rather than action, because everything here is pretty automatic, pretty easy to manage. The first one is electrical on and off switch. You can see that this was our previous propane on and off master switch, but because this runs with the Truma Combi that runs on fuel, we don't have propane, so that switch is now canceled. Battery monitor, that is also a Bluetooth battery monitor from Victron, so you can manage your battery or see their level directly on your phone through the Victron app. So right now we're at 99.5%. This is solar panel monitor. On the Panoramic, we have 400 watt of solar panel. This is always a standard. This is quite a bit for a small van like this, but it's important. So this is just a monitor to show you that the solar panel are in action. This is our inverter. So when I power the inverter, 3000 watt inverter, this will allow the induction cooktop, the air conditioner, and anything else you need to power. So Xantrex inverter here. And then we have our tank monitors, so fresh water tank, gray water tank, black water tank, and our water pump switch here. The last one switch here is the awning, electric, it's a Thule electric awning. So we could extend the awning with this switch. On this side here, we see that we have additional switch for the lights. We have the switch for interior light, the alley light. We also have one switch. We'll see this light outside a little later, but this is the light for under the awning or just to eliminate the entrance, and then our switch for the exterior sliding door step. So I think that we covered pretty much everything inside. We have to go outside to show you the mosquito screen doors and all of the exterior element, but I believe that we have shown you pretty much everything on the Panoramic. If I forgot something, well, we'll try to bring it back later. Okay, so now we'll show you all of the exterior feature on the Panoramic. So we're just going back to that exterior step. So we saw that switch, we see the activation of the step. Now note that on the Panoramic there is an automatic function to retract the step. As soon as you turn the ignition of the truck, if you're about to go somewhere, the step will automatically retract. We will also talk about this little light switch. You see the light above the door to eliminate the entrance or under the awning. So we have these things here. Now let me show you about the mosquito screen door. Very easy, unclip, roll down, zip this, and it's already on. So super easy to put on. Now if I want to go inside, I can simply slide and then I can simply push. So even if I'm carrying something out, this is super easy. Magnetic closer, durable, roll F screen door. So super happy. This is definitely the best mosquito screen that we can have on a van. We'll move back. I'll show you a few other things. We have a 110 volts outlet here on the side. So if you have an induction small portable cooktop that you want to use outside, you could plug it here. If you have a 110 volt Starlink antenna, maybe you didn't get the 12 volt adapter yet, so you could always use this one. We have a small shower. Let me try to open that for you. So because we have such an amazing shower inside the Panoramic, I don't think you really want to take your shower outside, but note that there is a mini shower here, hot and cold water. If you're cooking, if you need fresh water, I mean cold water or hot water, or if you're rinsing the bikes or the dog or the chairs, I mean you could always use that. So now we're gonna move to the back doors. I'm gonna open the back doors for you. You're gonna have a better view of what is the cargo space that we have under the Panoramic. So we have a huge space, 750 liters. I'm not sure exactly how many gallons this is, but this is how big of a storage space that we have here. You will see that we have additional drawers for, they are pretty deep, lots of additional storage in these drawers. Here we have another one. So this is usually where I store my water hose, electrical cable. So they are pretty easy to access. I don't have to crawl under the bed to find these things. On the other side we have little access door. This is our fresh water tank. Quick access for our winterization hose here. We also have a valve that will allow you, when you're connected to city water, you will have pressure inside, but if you want to fill the freshwater tank, the valve will be right here. You don't have to connect your hose on a different port. We also have a little light here to eliminate the cargo space. Also a 110 volt outlet if you have electric bikes and you want to put your charger here and recharge the bike, you can use that. Also the Truma Combi G is on the left side. The fuse panel is also on the left side. And now that we've seen this, we'll move on the side to show you other aspect, and we'll come back to flipping the bed here. Okay, so also on the back here we have our little storage for the sewer hose that will go right here. Now if you move with me, exhaust for the Truma, so just if there is a little bit more of a heat accumulation inside, it will just come here. So after that, here under we can see the black tank. The gray tank is under in the middle of the vehicle. You notice that we have a black handle to empty the black tank, a gray handle to empty the gray tank, and our outlet is right there where we're going to connect our sewer hose. Now, sometimes people will say, this seems to be low. Well, it seems to be low because we can see it, but it's a little bit of a visual illusion, because the rear axle of the ProMaster sits at 7.5 inch from the ground, and this is also within the 7.5 inch line. So if you knock this tank on something, it means that you're gonna knock the rear axle too. So although it looks low, it's definitely not that low. And I've been doing a lot of off-roading, pretty much anywhere you can go off-road with an RV in some pretty difficult terrain, and you would be surprised of the capabilities of the ProMaster. It's pretty interesting how far you can go with that. But of course, the important thing is not necessarily how low or where the tanks are, but you need to understand how the vehicle is built to avoid rocks, or to maneuver between the different obstacles. This will be, a good driver will definitely make up for anything. But again, this never prevented me to do off-roading. Now we see that this Panoramic is mounted on the original tire, 4-season tire, and original aluminum wheels. Lots of our customer will go with custom wheels, and we will also provide them with off-road tires. So if you do a lot of gravel road, that will definitely gives you a better handling, or also on off-roading, bigger, sturdier, or tires with a more aggressive pattern will definitely help you. So one thing we need to say about the tanks is that on the Panoramic, huge capacity for more autonomy. So we have 35-gallon fresh water, 24-gallon gray water, and 16-gallon black water. This is more tank capacity than any other Class B in the industry, and the reason is again that extended autonomy. So that will really provide us more time off the grid. Now, a lot of Class B unfortunately have cassette toilet. This black tank with 16 gallon is more than 4 times the size of the largest cassette toilet. So that will definitely give you more time off the grid, and you won't have to worry about not being able to go to the bathroom. Now, last thing on the side is that we do have our port for city water here, electrical connection here if you have hookups, and a little light on the side. This light, as well as an additional light at the back of the vehicle, is accessible with a little flip switch here. So if you're driving and you would need to go in reverse and better illuminate the back of the van, you could also do it while you're in the driving position. Otherwise, if you just need a little bit more light, if you arrive late at your campsite and you want to connect, you would be able to do that with that switch here. I'll show you a few things on the ProMaster, and then we'll go back on the other side of the vehicle. So just a quick note on the ProMaster. Our people buying a Panoramic, they always want a fully equipped van. So of course, when we buy our ProMaster, it comes fully loaded. So we have of course, the large screen with 10-inch Apple CarPlay enabled screen, digital rear view mirror, rear backup camera, as well as 360-degree camera. We also have a lane departure system, adaptive cruise control, blind spot and cross path detection, emergency braking. We also have the function of self parking, so parallel parking or perpendicular parking, so everything you can ask for. But one more very interesting thing on the ProMaster is how easy these seats are to swivel around. So super easy with just one mechanism, and then you're back into the lounge position. So anything you want in a ProMaster, we definitely put them on every Panoramic. So that's it. I think we've showed you every possible feature on the Panoramic. I mean, I probably forgot something, but please, if there is something else that you want to know, give us a phone call, send us an email. There's the address info@panoramicrv.com. We'll be very happy. Our whole team will be super happy to answer any of your questions and to let you know what else can the Panoramic do for you. So thank you again for watching us, and I hope you enjoyed this video.